Hello, my name is Grace Picklesimer, and I am a LET 4 in JRTC. The obligation to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance in JRTC uniform has led me to conduct this research. Before we can address such a topic, we must start at the beginning. In 1892, the Civil War that divided the country had ended just 27 years before. Furthermore, the Pledge of Allegiance was written in August 1892 by Socialist Minister Francis Bellamy. With that knowledge, I asked three cadets, how do you feel about a minister writing the pledge?
I believe it is biased, but that's to be understood because, it was a minister. It's also, when they say, our religions, of course that means Christianity, and he's a minister who practices Christianity, so it's natural for him to have his little 2 cents in the pledge.
I do think that is biased because in the pledge, it's like one nation united under God, but not everyone in the United States follows that same exact religion or even believes in God. There's, even today in the 21st century, there's so many different religions.
Probably a little biased because he's a minister and he's Christian, but not everyone in the U.S. is Christian. Because, people are crazy nowadays. Some people believe in, Cthulhu and spaghetti monsters, so.
On August 26, 2016, during the anthem at a Packer 49ers game, Kaepernick sat on the bench. Nate Boyer, a veteran Kaepernick consulted with, stated in an interview that, Kaepernick got questioned about it, and he said, well, I'm not going to stand for the flag of a country that oppresses black people and people of color. And then he talked about, social injustice and police brutality and why he thought, he shouldn't be staying for the anthem. And that was when they compromised with Kaepernick kneeling. Is a compromise valid?
I don't think this compromise is valid because, for one, in the first place, I don't think that there should have been a need for a compromise in the first place. If he didn't want to stand for the pledge, there shouldn't have been a need for a compromise so that he still had to be right there during the pledge. If he didn't want to stand for it, he shouldn't have had to stand for it or have had to compromise to kneel for it.
Okay, yeah, it's good. Good compromise.
With kneeling now being popular amongst younger generations, people begin disagreeing with neglect to their Pledge of Allegiance. A teacher stated, as for my classroom, I feel as though I will not make my students stand for the pledge as long as they have a valid reason as to why they are not standing. Do you believe that it is wrong to ask someone for a valid reason?
It's like asking someone why you don't like the color blue. It's a personal choice.
Yes, because I feel like when you're asking someone why won't they stand for the pledge, you're seeking a negative response for them. You're intentionally trying to get them to say something that's in offense to what you believe.
As long as you're respectful about asking why, as long as you don't try and judge them for their own reason. Because people are crazy. They should be able to do whatever they want as long as they're not hurting anyone.
In West Virginia's State Board of Education versus Barnett, the Supreme Court ruled that requiring the Pledge of Allegiance in public schools violated the First and 14th Amendments. Do you agree or disagree?
I agree that this is in violation because when you say that you have to stand for the pledge, you're just taking away someone's right to their own body and their own freedom of speech.
Disagree, because they're just playing it, and a lot of people nowadays don't even really pay attention to the pledge because they're just kids and they don't really care about the government and stuff. So
I disagree. Playing the pledge in the school isn't a violation of that right, but requiring people to stand and recite it, that is a violation.
Now the true questions. Cadets are reminded annually that it is required that they stand for the Pledge of Allegiance whilst in uniform. Did you know that is in the JRTC handbook? How do you feel about teachers monitoring you standing for the pledge? In the School Progressive Discipline Guidelines for 2021-2022 school year, Code 102 states that misbehavior during the moment of silence and Pledge of Allegiance leads to offenses.
If I'm in uniform, I don't mind because that's a prerequisite, something that everyone knows. You have to stand for the pledge if you're in uniform. You're in direct representation of JROTC and the military and the government, so you have to stand, those link together. But if you're not in uniform and someone's monitoring me, whether I stand or whether I don't stand, I don't see the reason for them to be monitoring me. I find it offensive that they're so worried about what I'm doing.
Don't really care. They're going to watch me sit. They're going to watch me sit. They're going to watch me stand. They're going to watch me stand. So.
To pledge or not to pledge, the topic will never fail to be a debate across the United States. Yet a law to stand or not to stand will never pass due to the First Amendment our country strives to uphold. Do you stand? Why or why not? Though such requirements to stand for the pledge whilst in uniform in JOTC may scare you, I encourage you not for it to scare you, because JOTC is a family.